Hi, guys. Before the shooting tragedy in Florida commandeered the latest news cycle, there was a brouhaha developing over former Trump administration White House aide Rob Porter. As the story goes, Porter is a domestic monster, a physical abuser of two previous wives. One of them has even released images of herself with a black eye she alleges he gave her. There's nothing particularly new about any of this. A woman alleges a man did something bad to her in the past, which she didn't report to the police, but who now finds it important to go after his career. Yawn. However, from a national security perspective, the problem is you don't want anyone too close to the president who is vulnerable to blackmail. I suppose that's true even if the blackmail takes the form of accusations from an embittered ex-wife. That makes perfect sense to me, even if I must stipulate that any man working anywhere now has the capacity to be blackmailed. In this Me Too culture of guilt by accusation, every man is one pointed finger away from being a wife beater, a sexual harasser, or a rapist, though there hardly seems to be a reason anymore to differentiate between these things. All are offenses against women, which makes them all equally horrific, worse than Hitler. Pick any one of them and the result is the same: instant pariah. Case closed and career over. Hashtag another one bites the dust. Of course, the fact that Rob Porter denies the allegations against him and the fact that none of the allegations have ever been proven doesn't matter in the least. He was accused by women, and of course, women never lie about these things. For some reason, he was not grabbed by the collar and given the bum's rush out of the Trump administration fast enough to please the gyno-obsessive media, and so now we're about to embark on a what did they know and when did they know it inquisition, hearkening back to Watergate, no doubt with the public support of both sides of the political aisle. The outrage machine is going to go nuts because this man was not fired at the same precise moment he was accused. The media is offering free pitchforks and torches for the coming parade, and the narrative they're going to paint was made clear at a recent White House Daily Press briefing. This is Trump administration press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's talking about President Trump's proposals for an infrastructure bill, for military funding, for the fiscal year budget of 2019, and other matters of actual national importance. Though you will see, starting with Fox News, that the press corps is driven to ignore all of those insignificant little details of governance and national security in favor of the sexier and much more ideologically useful coverage of alleged damsels in distress. The frenzy commences with Fox News' John Roberts.
John.
Sarah, Rob Porter's first wife, Colby Holderness, spoke with the FBI as part of his clearance process on January 25th, 2017, during which she says that she laid out all of the allegations that have since been aired against Rob Porter and provided the FBI with the photographs that were the turning point in his termination last week. At any time between January 25th of last year and last Wednesday, did the FBI make anyone here at the White House, whether it was in the counsel's office, the chief of staff's office, or anyone else, did the FBI make anybody here aware of the allegations that had been raised against Porter by Colby Holderness and his second wife, Jenny Willard?
Note, the only thing Roberts appears interested in is when the Trump administration knew that Porter had been accused of domestic violence, not whether there was proof against him. And this is actually a fair line of questioning. I mean, as long as you're not curious about the economy, military preparedness, and the like. But let's see Huckabee Sanders' response.
We learned of the extent of the situation involving Rob Porter last Tuesday evening, and within 24 hours his resignation had been accepted and announced. We announced a transition was going to happen, and within hours it did. The President and the entire administration take domestic violence very seriously and believe all allegations need to be investigated thoroughly. Above all, the President supports victims of domestic violence and believes everyone should be treated fairly and with due process. We've addressed this situation extensively, and we have nothing more to add at this time on that topic.
Now, let's stop right there. This, my friends, is going to be good. Due process. Nothing spoils a witch hunt like those two words. And with those two words being spoken, I get a reminder of one of the many reasons I really like this president. Let's continue.
Cecilia.
Why haven't we heard the president say exactly what you just said right there, that he takes domestic violence very seriously?
That question was from Cecilia Vega of ABC News, and she just laid down the cornerstone for the more widespread media agenda, which is to pressure the president to virtue signal his repugnance for violence against women. To talk in comforting platitudes like the hand of the press corps was shoved up his ass and working his mouth like Jim Henson. This isn't concern about whether Porter posed an enhanced security risk. It's about sexual politics, about parroting the sentiments of the sisterhood above all else. Huckabee Sanders seems acutely aware of this and mindful not to cave into it in her answer.
I spoke with the president. Those are actually directly his words that he gave me
Why
earlier today.
hasn't he said that? He had the opportunity.
It's my job to speak on behalf of the president. I spoke to him and he relayed that message directly to me, and I'm relaying it directly to you.
Okay, at this point, rational minds should conclude that the sisterhood got what it wanted, a quote from the president through an intermediary that he's concerned about domestic violence, that he doesn't think it's a good thing. But of course, as you'll see, just hearing the president's press secretary quote the president as being against domestic violence is not enough. They need to see grandstanding and to hear the virtue signal directly from the man himself, like he owes them a personal appearance on this one. And he needs to declare Rob Porter's guilt. Even better, they want the president to publicly crucify the man. No stinking investigation needed. The president is hurting women, you see, by sticking to petty constitutional matters like due process, by refusing to pick up a torch and scream for Rob Porter's blood, and by failing to treat accusation as proof of guilt. President Trump is literally causing domestic violence. Someone should check Melania for bruises. Let's find out just how bad they want to push this idea and where exactly they want to take it.
Does he believe Rob Porter's accusers, or are they lying?
Oh, we are getting much warmer now. Does he believe the accusers, or are they lying? This is what they want to show, that Donald Trump never got the memo that women, no matter what, are to be believed. Evidence be damned. Due process be damned. Presumption of innocence be damned. The media wants to know if Donald Trump believes the woman as though such belief was required by God for salvation. And let's see how Huckabee Sanders handles this demand for a declaration of faith by the president.
Look, as I just said, the president, along with the entire administration, take domestic violence very seriously and believe all allegations need to be thoroughly investigated. And above all, the president supports the victims of domestic violence and believes everyone should be treated fairly and with due process.
Once again, the president, through his very capable proxy, sticks with his duty to the Constitution and refuses to give the press the virtue signal and deference to the accusers they are looking for. It must be why they become more shrill as the questioning continues.
That question. That doesn't answer the question.
As I just said, I'm not going to go beyond that. That's where we are right now. Aisha.
Does the president still wish Rob Porter well? Does he still believe that he wants him to have a great career ahead of him? Because that would seem...
I think
That was Aisha Rasco of Reuters, and she too wants to know whether President Trump will dispense with all this due process foolishness and just throw Rob Porter under the bus where he belongs. Or maybe wish the plague on him, or say something like how there's a special place in hell for Porter and people like him. And of course, Trump's continued stubbornness, his persistence to treat Rob Porter like nothing has been proven against him, because nothing has, is all the proof needed that he supports violence against women. Let's examine the response to that.
The President of the United States hopes that all Americans can be successful in whatever they do. And if they've had any issues in the past, I'm not confirming or denying one way or the other, but if they do, the President wants success for all Americans, and that he was elected to serve all Americans, and he hopes for the best for all American citizens across the country. Jim?
It is clear to me at this point that Sarah Sanders has her marching orders. She's not going to turn the discussion on the Rob Porter matter into a public conviction. The White House is not going to play ball with the more common public reaction to an allegation of domestic violence, that which involves a stretch of rope and a sturdy tree branch. And that does not sit well with CNN's chronically butthurt Jim Acosta.
What about the president's tweet over the weekend? People's lives are being shattered and destroyed by a mere allegation. It seems like the president was believing Mr. Porter as opposed to his alleged victims. Why did the president tweet that over the weekend? Why is he seemingly defending Mr. Porter publicly? Is it because he has faced his own allegations? Is there some sensitivity there? Is that why that is?
I've never imagined that Donald Trump was anything close to perfect, but sometimes I wonder. In the middle of another media-fueled public character assassination of a man over unproven accusations, President Trump, in complete defiance of mob mentality, speaks the unpopular and unsettling truth. Lives are being destroyed by allegation. It's happening all around us, each and every day. But looking at that particular sky and calling it blue can spell as much political trouble as the fake news media can generate. And here is Jim Acosta, one of the people who puts the capital F in fake news, now playing armchair psychologist, trying to infer that Trump addressing the very real epidemic of guilt by association is some sort of psychological projection. Again, they want the virtue signal. They want Trump to crucify Rob Porter without a trial, and they are angry that it's not happening. I love this. It's so typical of a Trump administration press briefing. Reporters do little more than ask the same question over and over again so that they can go right about not getting the answer they liked. I don't feel sorry for Sanders, but my experience with the mainstream press does leave me some empathy for what she's doing. Let's let her finish again.
Look, as I just said, and I'll repeat it again, the president and the entire administration take domestic violence very seriously and believe all allegations need to be investigated thoroughly. He certainly supports the victims of domestic violence above all else and believes that everyone should be treated fairly and with due process.
Duh. Once again, domestic violence is bad and everyone deserves due process. A perfectly reasonable position that offends about 99% of the White House press corps. Let's move on to another generic press corps clone.
The vice president said he was appalled by the allegations. Why did the president not use this as an opportunity to say something like that? Why does he have to speak through you?
The president has been clear multiple times through myself and others within the administration that we condemn domestic violence in all forms.
He has not said it. Why has he not said it?
I'm the spokesperson for the White House and for the president, and I'm saying it to you right now.
Why does the vice president have to say it? Why didn't he say it?
I'm not sure how I can be any more clear. I think the president has espoused his views on this, and I certainly have echoed and told them for everyone.
He wishes Porter well, and that he believes that people should have due process, but he hasn't addressed the victims of domestic.
Why? Mike Pence virtue signaled. Why can't the president virtue signal? And why can't he virtue signal in person directly to us? Why does he have to speak through you? Why? At this point, we actually got a very short break in this line of questioning when a couple of people asked process questions. Then it was right back to more of the same.
Sarah. I want to just get back to Cecilia's point, which is that the president has a history of defending men who have been accused of sexual assault and harassment and abuse, including Mike Tyson, Bill O'Reilly, Steve Wynn, Corey Lewandowski, Roy Moore, and now Rob Porter. Would the White House like to say today unambiguously that the president believes women making these accusations?
I love the line, "The president has a history." It's smart rhetoric if the goal is to deceive. It almost has "the president has a criminal record" flavor to it. And indeed, the President of the United States does have a history of defending due process. This idiot might as well have been saying, the president has a history of free speech or a history of standing for the national anthem. At this point, I'm thinking Sarah Sanders needs a pull cord in the back of her neck. The questions she is getting on this subject all require the same response. The president supports due process. The president prefers evidence. The president would like proof. The president is abiding by his oath to protect and defend the Constitution. The president won't make proclamations based on the allegations of a possibly embittered ex-wife. I know, it's shocking, right? But that's the world we live in. You can see it all over the media. Pundits across the Western world are competing with each other for the most outraged at injustices against women award. Whenever the subject of women's struggles come up, and women's struggles are always coming up, they can't talk about whichever struggle du jour is at hand without first saying how terrible this or that against women is. That is almost always accompanied by a blanket statement about the special brand of hell that surely awaits whatever sad excuse for a man is guilty of this or that against women. Or rather, whatever man is accused, because when it comes to harming women, the words accused and convicted are entirely interchangeable. Except perhaps to Donald Trump, the purple pill president with some decidedly red pill moments. Now, I know the drill here. Trump haters are going to hate Trump, and Trump lovers are going to love the man. Nothing I ever say or do will change that for anyone. It's moments like these, though, that merit the effort to point at what he's doing with the tip of a hat. We've never had a president like this. And that is it for this talk today. As always, I do hope you've enjoyed, even if you haven't, and we'll see you next time.